Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and today I want to talk about arrow spine and the difference between these arrows and these arrows. Now, these arrows are a CA320, so they're an aluminium barrel shaft, like an X10. Exactly the same weight, pretty much the same. They have tungsten points on the front, 120 grain point. This is a 3.2 Icepoint from Pandarus, so the same thickness, 3.2, with a stainless steel point on. These are a 600 spine, these are a 500 spine. Now, spine is important for recurve, okay? So I want to just sort of stress that a lot. And people are going to say it's important for compound, yes, but it's really important for recurve. If you get the spine wrong, the arrow can basically strike the riser on the way through and you break RRS and you'll have lots of issues. So these are the arrows I was shooting, the Icepoints, and then I went up in poundage, so I was like, well, let's jump to the next ones, the 500s. Now, I've shot these arrows really well, the Icepoints. I shot an Australian record with them. Can't praise them enough, and you say, well, that's because you sell them. And look, I just shot really well with them, and they're 3.2 and they're cheap, okay? These are not so cheap. These are a CA320. Now, I shot really well with these before my surgery. And basically, when I shot really well with them, I was shooting a higher poundage than I'm shooting now. Right now, I'm shooting about 50 pounds at about 29 inches. So, I want to talk about these two arrows. These are 365 grains. These are 310 grains. So, the X10 ones, aluminium barrel-shaped carbon, are 50 grains heavier than these. Now, they also have tungsten points. Tungsten points are smaller if you look at the difference between the point size. So therefore, and the point on the stainless will be longer up the shaft. So therefore, the 600 spine Icepoint will be slightly stiffer than a tungsten point, if that makes sense, because the stainless is taken up, the stainless point's about that long. So it's not just as simple as going, well, 500 to 600, because it's a little bit different. And then there's also a factor of weight in the arrows. There's 50 grains. So these arrows, the X10 arrows, are going to be coming out of the bow significantly slower, and that's going to affect spine. So I had this problem. So here's my problem. My problem was I was happy with the Icepoints, shot the Australian records, and I'm like, my muscles aren't hurting. And you probably heard, if you watch my videos, you'll probably hear me say this. When your muscles aren't hurting, go up in poundage and, get stronger and work through the process again. Check to see if the arrows work, and if they don't work, that's when you go for the next spine up. And this has always been a process for me, right from when I started at 30 pounds right up to 50 pounds. Okay, so people say, well, you don't need to go to 50 pounds. Well, yeah, okay. You got beaten by a kid who's shooting a 28-pound recurve. Okay. I'm trying to outpower him. Let's just, he's a better shot than I am. That's the way it is. And I'm trying to use my strength to come up for my shortcomings in physical shooting ability. So I'm going to shoot the CA320s on the left target and the Icepoints on the other target. Now, the sight's going to be exactly the same, even though these are 50 grains heavier. Now, at 50 meters, 50 grains heavier will make a difference. This is 18 meters on an 18 centimeter face. Now, I was doing this last night, and I found basically no difference. So ideally, an arrow which is softer, so the 600 spine, will shoot to the right of the target, and the stiffer one will shoot to the left. They shot about the same. So let's shoot it today. It's a nice day. Last night it was pretty terrible, so we'll shoot it now and we'll sort of see. Now, we have a theory, and whether it's a theory or whether it's correct or not, that if you shoot a good shot with a stiff arrow, it'll go in the middle. So if you're a good archer, it's going to go in the middle. If you've got slightly a weaker arrow, it'll be a bit more forgiving for you. It's a theory. So, I'm going to say my shop has lots of recurve archers who work in it. All are pretty good archers. So this is a theory. So there's a guy in the club, Australian champion. He went from 3.2 carbon arrow, 3.2 all carbon arrow, to ACE, which is an aluminium barreled carbon arrow. And I'll just... Anyway, when he went to the ACEs, his scores dropped off dramatically. I'm not having a go at him or anything, this is the story, right? Anyway, one of the guys in the shop is shooting with him, state championships, and he shoots a 6 in the middle, and then a 1, and then a 2. And he's watching him, and his form's not that bad. Like, he's a pretty decent archer, except he's getting pretty erratic flight, right? Sometimes. You can probably see it with my release, or it's not ideal. This gets back to shooting lots and lots of arrows. So we said, Ryan said to him, he said, well, go back to your old arrows and see how they shoot and compare your scores. Right? And I always say this, shoot scores, check your arrows and see which ones you shoot the best with. So that one felt good. I don't know where it went, but so he does that. And he comes back into the shop and he buys some more 3.2 carbon arrows because he said he shot better with the 3.2, substantially better with the 3.2 than the ACE arrows. Now, I'm going to say Nationals are 2 weeks away, so he's changing arrows 2 weeks before the Nationals. Now, I've got a feeling the arrows are to the right of the target. Okay, those ones. Now, there's also a theory, or a fact, that given the light conditions, the arrows move on the target. So if you're shooting a field course, and the sun's hitting the target one way, or it's light or in a different way, your arrows will shoot left or right on the target. I've been shooting for 40 years. You think I'd know all this stuff? I don't. 40 years. Anyway, last night I was shooting, there's a bit of wind and the arrows are dead in the middle and now they look like they're on the right, so. But I shot, so these are the Icepoint, so 3.2, 600 spine, 120 grain, 50 pounds, 20 on each. Last night I was doing this and I was comparing one target to the next to see which one I shot better scores with. And I shot about the same. So one end would be good with the CA320s and one end would be good with the Icepoints and then it would alternate. So I'm going to say probably overall the Icepoints I shot better with. Except I did shoot a very good end with the CA320s where I'm like, I'm back, I can shoot good again, and the next end I was rubbish again, so that's archery. But I did shoot like 6 arrows I shot at 58, and I was like 4 10s, 2 9s, I'm like, yes, got this. And then it was like rubbish next to it, so. Now, like, that shot didn't feel too bad and it went high, so. And I haven't warmed up. This is my literally first end shooting. Now I want to do another video. So I stuck a clothesline in the center of an arrow to weigh it up, to make it heavy for clout, so the arrow lobbed in. Couldn't tune them for crap, and so last year I shot them, and the score I shot, let's say it was 300 out of 360. This year I shot perfectly tuned arrows, and the score I shot was 300 out of 360. I couldn't get the arrows, the heavier arrows, to tune. And I'm not sure why that is, because the spine's the same, but I couldn't get. I think it was because they're coming out so slow. All the readings were that the arrows were too weak, but they're coming out so slow because it was almost double the weight of the arrow. So then I've got this theory, another theory, that if the arrow is slower out the bow, it's actually going to be less spine. So the 500s there, you see, they're coming out slower because they are heavier, 50 grains heavier. So they'd actually be performing more like a 450 in the Icepoint. That's my theory. All right, let's go take a look. Okay, so down here at the target, see my arrows are predominantly to the right on both targets, although I do have some in the middle. And the grouping's pretty much the same, besides this one being high. So what I get is nothing from this, and it interests me that these are the same height in the target as these, given these are 50 grains lighter. And these, it surprises me, these aren't more to this side, given that they're a lighter spine. And I would expect one group to be tighter than the other group. So, and they do tune. They tune fine out of the bow with no fletching. So, basically, okay. So I had to get out of the sun because the sun was bright. So basically, it gets back to tuning and shooting. You want to shoot more to be a better archer. Now the new Scatty riser from Fivix, and I feel like I'm doing an advertising thing for Fivix. So leading up to shooting both these arrows, I was doing micro tuning with the plunger because some arrows, when I did walk back tuning, they were coming out to the left as I walked back, which indicates the arrows were slightly too stiff. So I lightened off the plunger button tension. Now the new Fivix Scatty riser allows your plunger button to move forward or back, and what that does is it affects your tune of your bow. So even more adjustments on your bow can be made. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because there's already so much adjustment and it becomes really confusing. Like, should I have been playing with the tune on this, or should I just be shooting? Now, my view has always been shoot, and make little changes and see if it moves your scores in the right direction or not. So if your scores go worse, go back to the other way and then move it the other way. So that's always been my plan as far as tuning and shooting. So little changes, move the rest up a little bit, move the rest down a little bit, whether it's compound or recurve. Just little changes. If you're going to try a new release aid, just try the new release aid. And what I've done here is I've gone from Icepoint 600 spine to a CA320 with tungsten points. Ideally, what I would have done is gone to Icepoint 500s with stainless steel points and then get that to work, because it's just the next step up. Because then I've added more variables in with the tungsten points and spine and weight and stuff. So anyway, that's where I'm up to. You can see the results were pretty similar, and that's what I'm getting. Some ends, literally I can drill them all in the center when I do good releases and everything's good. And I would say for the last 3 to 4 weeks, ever since I shot the Australian record, my shooting has been way down. So this weekend I'm just going to be sitting here pumping out lots and lots of arrows. So my thinking right now, so I've got about 3 weeks until the Masters Games in Adelaide. My thinking is to get some Icepoint arrows because they're lighter. And I had success with them. Now you could also say, well, why don't you just go back to your other limbs, which you shot the good score with, which I did it, and basically I didn't shoot as well as I did on the other day because, I don't know, just not shooting as well. So I want to persist with the higher poundage limbs, and I have shot these limbs before prior to the surgery, and I shot great with them, and I want to progress up again. So because I feel like I haven't shot as well as I did before the surgery, where I shot an indoor score of 291. I shot a couple of those with the recurve leading up to the surgery last year, so that's where I want to get back to. So that's where I'm up to, and the summary of this is shoot more, because, and I so say it on all my videos, whether you're shooting compound or recurve, if you want to be a better shot, you've just got to shoot more, because the people beating you are shooting more than you are. So just more work. Just work harder and put more effort in. Anyway, I'm Stephen Han. I hope that video has been informative about arrow spine. And you've just got to be close to the spine. If the arrow's striking the bow on the way through, then that's no good. You've got to have that fixed. Because I see that all the time. So when arrow rests break, people go off at me. Just the spine's wrong. The bow's not set up correctly. So you want to get your spine pretty good, like I'm not getting marks on my riser, the arrows have got no marks on them, I'm not ripping spin wings off. They're all pretty good in that 600 to 500. Look, it's in the mark. I think the 500s are a little bit stiff, so ideally I like a higher poundage. And my problem is with a higher poundage is I can't cope with it because I'm just not strong enough. It hurt too much in here when I went up to a higher poundage. I mean, I got some good groups, but then it hurt too much in my chest still. So I'm thinking of going to 500s with Icepoint because they'll come out of the bow quicker and be a little bit softer than the CA320s. That's my theory. And they're not that expensive that I can go and try stuff. So anyway, I'll leave you with it. Thanks for watching. Bye.